Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing a new junk journaling video with you, and I'm going to be working in the junk journal that I made for Meg Journal's Junk Journal July for this year, and I'll link the video for me making this as well as where I share my top 5 favourite journaling supplies up in the cards. Junk Journal July is a prompt challenge hosted by Meg Journals here on YouTube and on Instagram, so I'll leave a link down below to all of Meg's channels, but she did a new video every day in July for all 31 of the prompts, so I really recommend checking her out if you need some inspiration and want to see the original prompt list, which I'll also link in the description box. So I'm going to be working on the next 3 prompts. What I'm working on here is prompt 2, which is reinvent. So I was a little stuck with this prompt, but I decided to take this recipe card, which is taken from an old Flow magazine, and I'm going to reinvent it. So I don't tend to use recipe cards, but I really liked the pink shade and the layout, and I really liked the little fish illustration. So I wanted to reinvent this on my page so you wouldn't know there was a recipe card and just create a nice space for my journaling. I'm using some stamps and some torn paper from my stash, as well as that transparent background sticker, which is from a pack from AliExpress, and that's just sort of got some nice green foliage on there, and I really like the way that that looked against the brown background. I really enjoy using stickers like that in my journal and the way that they layer over things, and I also use stamps a lot, which you'll know if you've watched the video I mentioned before. So this is a book which I've made, and it's quite different to the last one that I made for Junk Journal July in 2021, because the pages are a lot cleaner, they're very blank, whereas the other one was more like an altered book, where I used lots of different materials to create my junk journal, and that was a different way of working because I was sort of working on top of graphics and things that were already there, whereas this time I have to really create the base myself, and it's like a proper blank slate. To cover up some of that text, I'm just using some thick white acrylic paint and an old gift card and smearing that on top of the page. I like to use a gift card because it provides really nice texture compared to using a brush. And now I'm moving on to the next prompt, which is number 3, which is layer tag. So I just found this in my stash, which is an old Joni clothing tag, and I'm going to be layering that up. Because, like I mentioned, the background is so blank, I've taken this image which I've cut from a magazine called Cut and Paste, and I will link that down below because that's a new magazine and I was kindly sent this, and it's perfect for finding things to use in your journal. I did play around with using that pink marbling paper, but I really love the way this brown paper tag and the brown paper from the left hand page looked with this lovely yellow mustard colour. And I'm just going through my stash and seeing how to layer up the pieces and how it would look against the tag. I mostly want to hide the text, so that's what I'm doing here. I don't spend very long on these. I just wanted to show that you don't have to spend ages on your junk journal or your journal pages. A lot of the times it just requires having the time to sit down for a little bit. I know I often put it off because it feels like a bigger task, even though it doesn't have to be, and I just wanted to show that you don't have to do really fancy pages, you can just create quite simple pages, and I think they look really effective. So overall, I think all of these pages took maybe 20 to 25 minutes. I have cut a little bit out just to speed things up, but it didn't take very long at all, and I think the pages turned out really nicely, and I was really pleased with how it turned out. It feels like a very different style to some of the other junk journals I've done, which is really inspiring for me. I really like that I can create different visual languages in my journals. So I am just layering up those little pieces onto this tag. I do fold those edges over of that polka dot paper just to keep it nice and neat, but I did like the way that it looked and I wondered whether I should have left it as it was. But it does work well here, and I also use a stamp, which I use a lot in my journals. And because the whole prompt is layer tag, I do try this underneath it, but in the end I thought that was too busy and I thought it kind of clashed with the lovely motif on the yellow piece behind. And to tie it in with the other page and link them together, I'm going to be using this book page again. And I'm also coming in with some washi tape. This is a really subtle pattern. It's like diagonal stripes in this really pastel pink shade. And just because the prompt is layer tag, I wanted to add another one on there. So I've started sticking this down, and I do come in with another colour, and I really like the way that teal works with the mustard yellow. One of the reasons I'm able to journal quite quickly is because I make my decisions quickly, and I know that with journaling there's so many options and it can be quite daunting deciding on what works best. What I found helps me to journal quickly is to just go with like your first gut instinct. Obviously with journaling you're trying lots of different things, bringing things in, taking things out, and so as soon as I think something works then I'll go with it and stick that to the page. I try not to overthink my choices and just really lean into that gut instinct of if I think something looks right and just gluing it in, because I find that otherwise I can do so many different like combinations and options, and sometimes it's just better to go with it. I have so many supplies and things in my stash, and I'm sure a lot of you who journal do too, so it's not like I'm going to run out of supplies quickly or I have to be precious about what I have. So I find that really helps. So I'm coming back to the page on the left because I needed to let that paint dry, so it wasn't quite finished or glued down. So I'm coming back to that page and sticking that over the brown paper, and finally adding in that clear sticker, which I really love the way that that looks and how it sticks over the stamp and the pink, and finishing off that page with a tiny strip of dotted washi. And here's a close-up of the pages so you can see how these turned out before I move on to the next couple of prompts. And this is quite a thick journal that I've made, so I'm going to be working through all 31 of the Junk Journal July prompts and then continuing just using all my Junk Journal supplies and filling the book so it's nice and chunky. So the next prompt I'm working on is number 4, which is transparency. So I pulled out a few things from my stash here. There's that thick pattern vellum. I also pulled out some tissue paper and some more of those transparent stickers, but I swapped the florals I did have out with some line art ones because I think that really highlighted the transparency a bit more. So I'm using that pink marbled paper which I did try earlier, and I'm using that on this one just to add some colour to the page. And this is where I'm trying to work out how to use the vellum. It's very bold and it does stand out nicely on the pink, but I didn't want it to cover up too much of it, so I've just torn like a square area of it, and I really like the idea of that being a pocket, so I'm trying a few different things to add in the top there. I have a tag which again is actually a clothing tag, but I also test out some playing cards as well. There's a space in the marbling paper which will work really nicely I think for the line art sticker, and so that I think that will work really well on the left. And I'm just layering up these transparent pieces at the bottom there. I haven't covered up the whole of the marble paper because I think that's really pretty, but you can really see how the tissue paper doesn't hide the pattern, it kind of just works with the transparency prompt. So I'm just using Pritt Stick like usual to stick everything down, especially with different papers. I find that Pritt Stick works better than a tape runner. And I'm just swapping out that leafy sticker with another one that I think works better in that space, and then I'm going to glue some brown paper onto the tag again to just hide that logo. I don't do anything on the back, but I easily could just line that with some other paper. And then I'm going to make this into a pocket just by gluing the bottom and the left and right sides, just making sure that the tag can come in and out nicely and doesn't get stuck. And then sticking down the sticker, which I think works really nicely because the solid black lines I think mirrors the black from the little pocket and the vellum piece, and adds more of that harshness that I think it needed. Otherwise I thought that the pink was too soft, so I like the way that that looks. And then I'm coming in with another one to link the pages together. I really like things going over the edge. I have to fold the paper to make sure that it will still work and function as a book, so I just fold that one there. I'm keeping this page quite simple, but I thought something was needed in that bottom left corner, so I'm just adding this grid piece of card, and I can write over that later on with my journaling, or just a title or a word with a black fine liner. So the final prompt I'm working on today is number 5, which is fold out. And I found this leaflet, which is from Cass Art. This I just picked up from one of their shops last year, and it's been illustrated by Nina Cothford, and it was just perfect for the fold out prompt because it's quite a long leaflet, and you'll see I do tear that up to make it a bit smaller because it was too fat to fit in this journal. But it worked really nicely because I really love the graphic style and I really enjoy Nina's illustrations. And I'm layering that on top of this old piece of packaging, which is from Barcelona, and I really like the way that that works. Again, I really enjoy using brown paper in my journals, but here I'm just working out which bit of the leaflet I wanted. It really was quite thick, and although I've got the string to secure my journal together, I didn't want one page of the journal to be super thick. So I'm tearing off quite a few pages and trying to decide what I want for my front cover, and then gluing down the brown paper and seeing how it fits on top. I decided to go with this illustration of the Birmingham store as the front. There were quite a few pages of this that I really liked, but I went with that one because I thought it ties in with the text on the bottom from that packaging, as well as the pink on the left. I thought it ties it all in together. And then I'm bringing in this leaflet, which is from our trip to Brighton last year when we were visiting the lanes, and again I think that works really well with the graphic and boldness of the black on the left hand page. It's a lot more stark than I would normally go. I usually go for a lot of neutral tones, but I really like the style of that one. I think it works with the vellum piece, and it is nice to try something different in the journal. So I made sure that again this leaflet could fold and pull out. I've added on another bold sticker, and I'm not adding anything into that little leaflet, but I could add some little tags or journaling spots if I wanted to. But I just really like the illustrations and I think it works nicely here. So here's some close-ups of that page and how the page all works together with the tags, and that's how the journal's looking so far. So I'll keep you updated with how I'm getting on with Junk Journal July over the next few months. Obviously I'm doing it a lot later, but I really enjoy just taking my time and working in this way. So I hope you enjoyed watching. I'll leave a link to my journaling playlist down below if you want to see any of my other journaling videos, but I will see you next week with a new video, and I hope you have a lovely week. See you later.